Welcome to The Worthy Woman, a podcast for the intuitive, ambitious woman who's ready to regulate her nervous system, reconnect with her body, and rise to the next level of success, health, and purpose. I'm your host, Jo, manual osteopath, holistic coach, and nervous system guide, here to walk with you as you heal from the inside out and create a life and a business that actually feels good. On this podcast, we explore the connection between your body, emotions, subconscious patterns, and your ability to lead, create, and live from your worth. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Worthy Woman podcast. My name is Johanna. Welcome if you are new here. Welcome back if you are an old friend. We are talking today about exhaustion in business, and if you are still telling yourself that you need to push harder, but you are just so tired and so exhausted, this episode is going to be for you. I have personally dealt with burnout, and I grew up with we'll say the belief, or I was told that I had to work hard to be successful. I had to put in effort. You can't be lazy. If you're not putting in effort, then you are lazy. If you're taking time to rest, then you're lazy, right? And so I built up this habit and this pattern of always working, always feeling like I had to show up, always felt like I had to, kind of do more in order to be the success that I wanted to have. And if I wasn't seeing the success, that meant I wasn't working hard enough, right? And this led me to a place of burnout. And I do get caught in this pattern every once in a while, but I'm definitely nowhere near where I used to be. I think it's very easy to overwork yourself, especially if you're excited about things, or you're driven, or you're motivated, or you have time, right? And we want to put this work and effort into our goals, which is totally understandable. And it's not about not putting work in or never putting work in, but it's more about the management and understanding how our body is playing a role in the type of success and the feelings that we have. Burnout for me was a very exhausting time. It was also a time where I didn't feel necessarily connected to what I was doing because I was just so tired and exhausted that for me, I would lose the motivation. I would lose the excitement around what it was that I was trying to create in my life. But then at the same time, there was this pressure of but I'm not there yet, right? And so it would be this almost like this gripping type of feeling, but also feeling so tired that I was just I can't take action, but I want to take action, right? And in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how your body shows up as your business partner and is your business partner, and how that can actually shift everything for you in your business. And especially as women, are taught about this hustle culture, this boss babe mentality, that we have to show up and function, like a man does. And I would even say that some of that is even out of alignment with them, right? But this hustle culture has taught us that, again, doing more, working harder is what means success, and that success has to be hard-earned, and success can't look and feel simple or easy or easeful. And what this has done is it has disconnected us from our body. So we get so caught up in our mind, which is a very masculine, logical approach to life and to business, but we get so caught up in our mind that we get disconnected from our body. We don't pay attention to the different signs, the tension we're feeling, the anxiety, or we do feel it and we think, oh, that's normal. And then we kind of bypass it, and we just ignore it in the sense of, I know it's there, but this is normal. This is just the way it has to be, and I just need to push through. And both of those ways, whether you're aware of it or you're not, are disconnecting you from your body, disconnecting you from your emotions, disconnecting you from success, and ultimately it's disconnecting you from your essence. It's disconnecting you from the thing that's actually going to make you successful in your business, especially as a woman. This can show up in a lot of different ways. When we get disconnected from the body and we're starting to feel exhausted, we're starting to feel burnt out, and we're tired. We're going to have things like brain fog. We're going to feel like we don't have any creativity left. Like, I don't even know how to get started on this because I'm not clear, and I don't have the creative juices that are flowing, right? We maybe can't make decisions because of that, right? Whether that's just like it takes you a long time to figure out what you want to do, or you just feel like you would have no capacity to make a decision whatsoever. You just don't want to, so we avoid it. And it also, like I had mentioned before, like it leads to this, we don't have any magnetism. Our magnetism is gone. Our essence is gone, because when we're exhausted, we're fatigued, we're burnt out, that essentially means our vitality is low. And who wants to be a part of that? Right? If we're trying to sell things, we're trying to have clients, we're trying to work with people, nobody wants to work with somebody who like isn't vibrant. And you don't have to be like super outgoing and bubbly to be vibrant. Vibration and our vitality is the energy that we give off. You can give it off in a very grounded way, but people can feel it. And if we're acting from this place where we're burnt out, we're exhausted, and we're disconnected from our body, this is going to impact our business, and it's going to impact how we show up, and it's going to impact who we attract and who we are magnetizing towards us, right? And it doesn't even have to be people, it could be opportunities as well, right? Ideas, things like that. So our body, and I made a post about this today, but our body is our business partner. And your body, especially when you are like the owner of what you do, like for work, your business, your body is telling you things. It's trying to communicate with you, but it's not communicating through words. It's communicating through feelings, emotions, sensations, right? And as women, we're probably more tuned into this than men are when we allow ourselves to be. But a lot of this starts with the nervous system. The nervous system tells our body to produce certain sensations, right? Like we only feel pain because our nervous system tells us that there's pain, right? Our nervous system, like we only digest things because our nervous system tells our body that like it needs to be digested, right? We only move our arms and our legs because our nervous system tells us to do that. So but then there's this nervous system piece. Like nervous system is very complex in its entirety of like everything it does for the body. But then we also have our regulation piece, or our autonomic nervous system, that indicates this sympathetic versus parasympathetic drive. And what happens is we end up, a lot of us, just strictly in this sympathetic, and there's no balance. There's no going back and forth, which it's supposed to do. What it does is it just stays in this one state. And I know there's interesting pieces, because I see people talk about like, oh, you're never going to be regulated in business, which I do relate to. I do understand what they're getting at. However, there's a difference of not being regulated and a difference of like being able to regulate, right? What happens is a lot of people aren't regulated and they're trying to do hard things, and then they can never come back and reset after that. They just stay in this perpetual state of stress. They stay in this perpetual state of like hypervigilance. And so, yes, you're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to do hard things. You're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable in your business. And those are not going to feel regulating in the moment. They're going to feel very dysregulating for us. However, a properly, how do I want to word this? Like a properly toned nervous system is going to be able to go through that experience and then come back from it, instead of just going into that experience and just like now acting from that space forever. A lot of us are acting from places of our nervous system, or we're just acting from a place of never being able to regulate. We're not regulating ever. And that's the problem. And so our nervous system really sets the tone of our business. Because if we go back to what I said before, if you don't have the capacity because you're tired and your nervous system is burnt out, you're not going to be able to make decisions, or you're going to make decisions from a place of fear. And that's because your nervous system needs space. It needs time to regulate, and you're not getting that right now. And so our decisions come from our nervous system, which is a huge piece of, like, our body being our business partner, right? Creativity, ideas, things like that, our nervous system kind of runs the show of. And so when it's able to regulate, we're able to make good decisions. We're able to be creative. We're able to explore opportunities, explore options. We feel good. We feel magnetic, right? And we're able to kind of go through these highs and these lows of these good and these bad feelings, stress, moments of high stress, moments of low stress, right? And when we have these feelings, they impact our business, they impact our performance in our business, our success. But really, when we know how to handle these and we know when to move forward and when to pull back, that's what's going to give us, that's what's gonna be able to give us the information we need to know what we need to do to show up for not only ourselves physically and our nervous system, but also our business, right? So when we feel constantly tired, it's going to be really hard to show up consistently, right? So if you're burnt out, you're exhausted, and your body's not getting the proper rest that it needs, which rest isn't just sleep. There's a lot of different ways you can rest. It can be really hard to show up consistently, right? Maybe you need a rest from socializing with certain people. Maybe you need a rest by eating better foods, right? Maybe you need a rest by setting boundaries with certain people. Maybe you need a rest of just not working and just doing something else, right? There's a lot of different ways you can rest. But when we don't give ourselves the space to rest, it gets really hard to show up. And more so consistently. We probably show up in bursts, but it's never consistent, which is tough in business. Gut issues. This can result in not being able to trust ourselves, our gut instincts, our intuition. It also influences just how we physically feel. So gut issues can also relate to brain fog, anxiety, stress in different ways because those two components are very connected. Also, too, what's interesting with gut issues is it can look at the fact of are you able to digest certain information, certain things that you're going through? So that's kind of more of an emotional side of things. But gut issues are going to create the brain fog. You're going to have a hard time making decisions as well. And just, again, trusting yourself, trusting your gut instincts on things. Anxiety is just going to have you overthinking things. It's going to have you, questioning your offers, questioning your content. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this good enough? I don't know. Acting from a fearful place, right? But when we can notice that fatigue or gut issues or anxiety are showing up, then we go, hey, this is trying to tell me something. Something's missing, right? So how do you actually make your body your business partner? So the first thing that we need to have is awareness, right? So we need to be able to listen. If you can listen to your body, that's going to make all the difference. It's the very first step, because if we're not aware, we can't know, right? We can't even try to know if we're not aware. So we have to notice these signals. We have to notice tension that we're holding, energy dips, stress patterns, headaches, even things like that, where it's this shows up every time I do this, or this shows up when I work this many hours, or I feel this way on this day typically, and it's the day that I do blah blah blah, right? Paying attention to those patterns that are showing up, and also paying attention to just the symptoms, things, how you're feeling, day in, day out, and what's going on in your life. Having that awareness and that reflection is going to be super important. So that's kind of the first piece when it comes to making your body your business partner, is noticing what's even showing up for you at all, right? How do you feel day to day, week to week? And how is it showing up for you? Because it's going to show up for each of us a bit differently. The second one is regulating. Daily practices like breath work, grounding, movement, those things are really good. These give us a good foundation. They might not necessarily solve our problems, because tools are not everything. We do need to sometimes process certain emotions or feelings or mindsets that are coming up for us that are actually dysregulating us. So daily practices don't always get to the root of the problem, but they can be very supportive to kind of help almost like reset us a little bit. But you will find still that you probably fall into similar patterns and things like that if there's a deeper rooted emotion, belief, upbringing thing, right, subconscious stuff. If there's something deeper going on there, those movements and the breath work and those sort of things, those tools that you use won't make that go away, but they can help you deal with it day to day, right? Manage it a little bit. So they're super important, but just don't always, they can get to the root of it. It just depends like how you're doing it. Typically daily practices are not deep enough. You need deeper work, or it needs to be so consistent for X amount of time to make it have a long-term effect on your system, if that makes sense. So tools are not everything, but they're very supportive. The third one is support. So we need to know how to give to our body, especially as women. We're always outsourcing our energy, giving our energy to other people, things, like places in our life, right? Like we always show up for people. And that's what I love about women, is we show up for so much in our lives, except for ourselves, right? And I'm totally guilty of this, where it's like, I've even been working on my nutrition lately, and I'm trying to lose some weight, and I'm trying to, get back into a better relationship with food and a better relationship with movement. And what I've been noticing though is that what's happening is I'm really noticing how much I put my work in the forefront and what I need in the background. So instead of waking up and going for a walk, I don't know, having a glass of water, eating some breakfast, I will grab a coffee, wake up, grab a coffee, and go sit at my desk and open an email, think about work. And then work happens, the day goes on, and then I'm like, oh, well, I'm too tired to go for a walk. I'm just not prioritizing it, right? I'm not prioritizing my rest. I'm not prioritizing my sleep. I am prioritizing my sleep. I love sleep. But I'm not prioritizing my nutrition or my movement the way that I need to for myself, right? And that when we do that, we are sacrificing our own sense of self and well-being for our business, and you're always going to end up burnt out if you're doing that, right? So what does your body need? Maybe for you need more sleep. Maybe for you need more downtime. Maybe you need a weekend to just do whatever the hell you want to do, right? Like what is it that you need right now? What do you need a break from? How do you need to nourish yourself? And then the fourth part of this, the fourth step we'll say, is reframing. So this is that mindset piece, that subconscious piece. And when it comes to exhaustion and overworking and things like that, we really just need to, there's a common element where a lot of us believe that we have to work hard in order to be successful. And so we have to reframe that, like, success can come from alignment and energy and not having to constantly push and produce all the time, right? So we have to reframe our idea of it. Others of us might have other blocks or mindsets or things that we believe that might not be true, right? And that we need to reframe and work on those. And so those are those deeper components that I was saying before with, like, the tools that we have to look at those too. We do have to reflect on our life and reflect on how we're showing up, as well as doing practices and supporting ourselves. But those practices will only get us so far if we're not doing this deeper work, right? And so when we do this deeper work, when we look at these things, when we start showing up for ourselves, when we start supporting ourselves, we have, like, your business will move so differently. You'll move differently, which is why your business moves differently, right? You're going to make way better decisions. You're going to have a clear mind. You're going to have creativity because your mind is clear. So not only do you have no brain fog, you're not going to have decision issues, right? Like, you're going to be able to make decisions, and you're going to have creativity, right? Just from clearing your mind, just from giving yourself that, right? Then you're going to feel better, right? Because your body isn't going to have as many, like, hey, you should look at this, hey, you should look at that, right? So because you feel better, your magnetism is going to increase. We are naturally more magnetic and more authentic when we feel good and we love ourselves and we show up for ourselves, right? When we don't feel good, we force things, right? And we question and doubt ourselves at the same time, but we force things, right? And you're going to have way more consistent success because you're actually supporting yourself and your business consistently long term. So this is like, you're going to get short-term results consistently, or just consistent results over time, and you're not going to burn yourself out. You're not going to have to take a break. You're going to be more consistent. You're going to be able to like show up every day when you need it, or however often you need to, because you're supporting yourself. So you have the energy, the capacity, the tolerance to do so. And again, it's not about being regulated all the time. It's about being able to move in and out of like being under stress, having space to rest, being under stress, having space to rest. We need that dance between the two. And that's how we move forward in our business. It's how we feel good in our life. That's how we build our capacity for more success. But if you're never allowing yourself the rest and the nourishment that your body needs, and you're ignoring the, deeper rooted things that are maybe showing up, and you're not feeling those things, and you're not paying attention to your body, you're going to notice that you have success, it goes away. Have success, go away. Or maybe you have lots of success on paper, but you don't feel successful in your body. You don't feel successful in your day-to-day. You're miserable, you're unhappy, right? If you want long-term success, and you want to love what you do, and you want to have a business that's successful, but a life that also feels good, you have to look at your nervous system and how you're showing up and regulating that and working through that, right? So we have to remember that our body is not in the way. It is the way. Like, your body is showing you what is next, what to do, what it needs for you to continue moving forward. And sometimes we got to slow down so that we can speed up, right? Like, sometimes we got to pull ourselves back a little bit in order to move forward, right? And sometimes, like, we just need these small little moments, just tiny little things where we can, like, maybe for you it's like, I'm just going to wake up and drink a glass of water. And that's the one little thing that you start to do. But it's going to help you, right? So start with something small. Pick a small, like, thing that you can do. Maybe it's a meditation, maybe it's a breath work, maybe it's a glass of water, maybe it's stretching or walking, or like whatever the thing is that you need. Maybe it's just like not opening your laptop on the weekends, like whatever. Pick something very, very small and start to implement that as often as you can. Like, obviously, if we can do these things every day, that's great. But if you can't do that, that's okay too, right? And watch as things start to shift. Watch how it changes your creativity. Watch how it changes your mood, and how that then influences how you show up, how often you show up, the energy you show up in, right? And then how that relates to your business, your clients, your results, your output, whatever, right? Because we can't be successful when we're ignoring our body. Truly successful in all elements of our life, and be truly happy if we're ignoring our body, right? So that's what I have for today. Hopefully that resonated for you guys. Let me know. I'm going to be coming out with something. I'm in the midst of creating something for you guys, which is going to be actually free for you. So I'm super excited to dive into that. That life's been a little busy, so I'm hoping to next week kind of get into it and start creating that. I have like the idea and everything, but I'm just like, yeah, I gotta create it. So that'll be coming out, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll probably share a little bit more, or talk a little bit about it more next week, or just talk about it in general. But yeah, it's going to help you kind of dive more into your nervous system, deeper into alignment with you and your business, and how we get both things on board, and how we really create sustainable success through doing some of this work. And so I'm going to walk you kind of through some of that. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here as always. And if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you are following me over there. I've been posting some different content there. So if you're interested in that, like I said, it's over there for you. And the link for that will be down below. Any of my other offers, coaching, all that kind of stuff is down below as well. So if you're interested in that, you guys can check this out. So I hope you have a wonderful day whenever you're watching this or listening, I guess, to this. And I will see you guys next week for the next episode.